Is this a shocking nationwide cell phone outage or a global cyber attack? Check this out.
Appears to be a nationwide outage, though, impacting cell phones and possibly internet.
We got some breaking news right at the top, and a lot of Americans are feeling it right now. If you've had some trouble using your cell phone this morning, it's not just you. You're not alone.
Yeah, major carriers have been experiencing widespread outages all across the country, though AT&T is the most affected overnight. Users are on social media, and they're saying their cell service was down. They were unable to make or receive calls. Many are saying, though, texts appear to be working just fine. We're going to try to sort all this out.
However, they're saying that AT&T got better and then it got worse. And so what is going on here behind the scenes? That's my question. What's really going on? Check this out.
With NBC's Brian Chung. Hey, Brian, good morning.
Good morning. Some pretty alarming issues here nationwide when it comes to the cell phone outages. So it's happening at 3 major carriers. It's happening at Verizon.
Nationwide. At 3 major carriers.
AT&T and also T-Mobile, they can't get 911 calls. So this is really impacting some emergency services. We don't know what the reason is for the outage.
I mean, what's interesting is that it's more than...
So there's a nationwide data outage where people aren't able to text, they're not able to reach emergency services, and they don't know why it's going on. There was no forewarning or anything.
One carrier. I mean, what's interesting is that it's more than one carrier.
Did you catch what she said? I know what's interesting is it's more than one carrier. So if you know how cell phones work, the fact that one carrier has this data outage where people aren't able to use their data, access it, or call emergency services, right, is basically... it's never going to happen, but not by just a simple mistake. Someone pushed a wrong button or something. I mean, there's satellites all over the place. And so the fact that all of the cell phone carriers, these are independent, 4 very independent, separate companies, separate satellites, all of it. The fact that 4 of them have gone out nationwide is pretty interesting. In other trending topics, there is cyber attacks going on in other parts of the world right now. They're both, I believe they're both connected. The cyber attack in the other parts of the world and these power outages from 4 different carriers that nobody has any idea why it's going on. And if you follow the news, they're saying, well, maybe it's the weather or maybe it's a satellite thing. And the weather... my weather is sunny, and there's no major storms or anything going on. And even if there was hurricanes in 4 different places in the country and a bunch of things got hit, it still should not affect one service provider, much less all 4. It's very interesting. But what's really crazy, Obama made this movie, and in this movie, they talk about this same thing.
Because my primary client works in the defense sector, I spent a lot of time studying the cost-benefit analysis of military campaigns. There was one program in particular that terrified my client the most. A simple 3-stage maneuver that could topple a country's government from within.
A 3-stage maneuver. A 3-stage maneuver.
First stage was isolation.
Isolation. He's cutting off the communication.
Disable their communication and transportation. Make the target as deaf, dumb, and paralyzed as possible.
You see how in that picture it showed a cell phone, no signal. Ironically, that's exactly what has happened. I think it's a test. I think it's going to go away, but I think we're going to get all of our cell phones working again. But very interesting in this video. Obama made this video.
Possible, setting them up for the second stage. Synchronized chaos. Terrorize them with covert attacks and misinformation. Overwhelming their defense capabilities, leaving their weapon systems vulnerable to extremists in their own military. Without a clear enemy or motive, people would start turning on each other. Done successfully, the third stage would happen on its own.
Another thing that's kind of interesting, he said, without a clear enemy or motive. And we just watched a video with the news report where the news guy is saying, we're not sure what happened. There's not a clear enemy or motive.
What's the third stage? A coup d'etat. Civil war. Collapse. This program was considered the most cost-effective way to destabilize the country. Because if the target nation was dysfunctional enough, it would, in essence, do the work for you. Whoever started this wants us to finish it.
And the sick thing is, I think deep down we know we're not fooling anyone. I think we know we're living a lie. An agreed upon mass delusion to help us ignore and keep ignoring how awful we really are.
Did you guys catch that? We're going to talk about that. Hold on one second. Let's play that again.
An agreed upon mass delusion to help us ignore and keep ignoring how awful we really are.
AT&T power outage. Shocking national cell phone outage. Global cyber attacks. What is the purpose behind the scenes? What's the enemy trying to do? Well, my personal thoughts, I believe it's all just a testing mode. I don't think there's anything to worry about. And I think the enemy does these things, you know, our spiritual enemy, to try to create fear and anxiety and to get us to react and act according to his plans and instead of to God's plans. But these three things are actually supernatural insights into our own life on how the enemy attacks. And one, it says he attacks through communication. Two, it says that he creates fear and misinformation, right? And then three, civil war. The enemy tries to stop our communication with God, prayer, through condemnation, sin, and different things that come in where religion and works and all of these things, we're trying to earn this relationship instead of relying on faith and grace and mercy to come before God. And he first stops the communication. That's hearing from God in the word of God, right? And speaking to God, which is prayer and reading in the word. He tries to cut off the communication with God, our source for all the data that we need for our life, our GPS, all of our communication, everything we need in life. He tries to cut that communication off, and he tries to get us, once the communication is cut off, then he can start feeding the false information, the misinformation, lead us in the wrong directions and cause civil war in the family, in the marriage, between the family members, at the workplace. And so the enemy comes to kill, to steal, and to destroy. And this is the exact way he does it. And that's what possibly is going on and being tested. A global cyber attack, possibly that just hit the entire nation, right? I believe it was a small attack, and it's just kind of insight into what might come in the future, what the enemy's currently doing in our lives, and how the enemy's trying to use fear. So don't let this bring fear among you. In fact, I got a video. Subscribe to the channel and click the notifications icon. And I got a video about fear coming out at 7 o'clock just for you guys because of this stuff going on. Deliverance from the spirit of fear. Understanding the strategies of the enemy when it comes to fear. And so subscribe to the channel. And if you haven't subscribed to my second channel, on my second channel, we do prayer in church every morning at 9 o'clock Central Time. Check it out. Like, comment, share. I pray the Lord bless you today. Let me know what your thoughts are on this in the comments.